Controversy involving the death penalty is heating up, especially after a botched execution that took place in Oklahoma recently. Now, this was involving 38-year-old Clayton Lockett, and he was given the death penalty after he was convicted of killing a woman while he was in the process of burglarizing her home. Now, this is a very, very interesting story to see because European drug makers that previously gave us the lethal injection or the substance to do the lethal injection no longer give it to us because they don't agree with the death penalty. So as a result, certain states, including Oklahoma, Texas, and Missouri, are obtaining the substances necessary, but they refuse to tell us where their sources are from. Where are they getting those drugs from? Now, this all started when a sedative by the name of midazolam was given to Clayton Lockett, and here's what happened. 3 minutes later, he began breathing heavily, withering, clenching his teeth, and straining to lift his head off the pillow. Apparently, the scene was so difficult to watch that the viewers were blocked from seeing the rest of it. So they closed the curtains, and anyone who was there to view the execution, which, by the way, I can't imagine viewing an execution, regardless of how humane it is, they were blocked from seeing it. And about 10 minutes later, he actually died. And he didn't die from the injection. He died of a heart attack. Now, according to Republican Governor Mary Fallin, she ordered a 14-day stay of execution for an inmate who was scheduled to die 2 hours after Lockett. And that's important to know because it shows that, hey, you know what? Something went terribly wrong with this execution. We're not being honest about where we're getting this substance from. We need to review this and figure out what happened. Now, those who were administering the drug say that it wasn't an issue with the substance. It was an issue with his vein. They claim that his vein ruptured. I think that that is a very suspicious thing to say. I'm very skeptical of those claims. But nonetheless, if European drug makers refuse to give us the drug and you're refusing to tell us where your source is, there might be something wrong with that.
Yeah.
So these come in like stages. Whenever it's lethal injection stages, I'm sure everyone knows this, but it's in case, because I learned it recently a few years ago. There's stages when first there's the injection that kind of like puts him to sleep, and the numbing agency does. So and then there's the lethal one when he's basically asleep. So even if you're, as you said, viewing this execution, it looks like someone that's been put under for an operation.
Because they've been numbed, they've been paralyzed, and then their heart is stopped.
And then their heart is stopped by the third lethal part. So apparently a part of this, I hope you didn't mention this, the drug midazolam. Yeah, apparently it's been used in Florida, and they administer 500 milligrams of that drug as the stage that numbs him, which it seemed like he was numbed, and that's when he started having his issues. And Oklahoma used just 100 milligrams. It's the first time that they've used it, so maybe it's one of those instances of not knowing what you're doing it because it's their first time using it. So in those instances, it's one of those things when you realize sometimes, people in charge, people that we know have big jobs that influence everyone, politicians, people who, executioners, they're not always, they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Hell no, they
So
don't.
we always think, oh yeah, I'm just, I just work on a talk show. I'm glad I don't have an important job. We have to do things efficiently though. We have to do things because that's our job.
Yeah.
So in double checking and triple checking what you're doing and killing someone, you got to make sure you know what the hell you're doing, which I don't think you should be doing in the first place. And as far as the curtains dropping down, people who want to see this execution, let them see it.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they're going to enjoy it. Maybe that was their family member and they're like, I want to see that motherfucker suffer. And let them understand how they feel and let them process that for real. I think they should let them all see it.
Or if they're not going to enjoy it, force them to see what it looks like for the state to take a person's life. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't look like a person falling asleep. Sometimes it looks like a guy suffering and having a heart attack.
Yeah. Look, we have laws against cruel and unusual punishment, and I do not agree with the death penalty. I don't believe in the philosophy behind it. I don't believe that we always have the right guy or we always convict the right guy. So as a result, I'm against it, right? But even for those who are in favor of the death penalty, the person that you're executing is not supposed to suffer in the process of this execution. It's in our Constitution. It's against our laws. And in this case, I mean, we don't even have a uniform way of administering this drug from one state to another. When you have one state, Florida, administering 500 milligrams, and then you have Oklahoma administering 100 milligrams, why is that? I want to know the reasoning behind that. And Jayar is absolutely right. They don't seem to know what they're doing, and I don't like the excuse that was used. They immediately blamed him. It was his veins. He had problems with his veins. His vein ruptured.
He was weak.
Yeah. No, how about you be honest with us about where you're getting this drug from? And be honest with the American people about why European drug manufacturers no longer want to supply us with the drug that we used to use for these lethal injections.
Yeah. Can I say something sort of controversial? Like, first I want to preface it by saying that as you said, I'm against the death penalty. I think that it's unnecessary. I think that it doesn't accomplish what you think it accomplishes. It does not deter crime. And much more importantly, I mean, we covered in the Young Turks earlier this week, that up to a quarter or a third of the people who have been executed could very well have been innocent of the charges that got them executed. And so if you're actually driven by some sort of like wanting to help the victims or something like that, well, you're creating more victims by supporting this. And it seems weird to me. Like, I get if somebody killed someone and a posse tracks them down and shoots them dead. I sort of get that. But I don't understand when someone's been on the death row for 10 years and you get a phone call and you're like, oh, we can kill him today. And you're like, okay, let's kill him today. At that point, I just don't understand it. But all that said, like, if you're going to kill them, I think a lot of people watching this would probably agree, what does it really matter if it takes a couple of extra minutes or if he has a heart attack or something like that? Like, he's dying. Killing a person is such a horrible thing that the couple of minutes of suffering before it don't matter as much to me, I think. I think we should get rid of all of it. But if we're going to do it, let's stop pretending if we numb them or if we paralyze them, that it's not a terrible thing we're doing. It's a terrible thing whether he has a heart attack or not.
They want to make sure you don't actually see how horrific it can be and what death can look like.
But we're not supposed to torture people while we're murdering them or while we're executing them. I should use the right.
I don't want us to torture them. I don't want it to be any of it. But I mean, like someone brought up, well, why not just do the firing squad? Like make it more obvious that this is a violent, horrible act that we're making, and maybe more people would be against it in the long run. Georgia wants to switch over to gas chambers. Okay, that sounds pretty fucking horrible to me. Symbols matter, I think, and it will make them look as bad as they actually are if they actually institute
Now, I know
gas
no one
chambers.
cares, but we talked about the 14-day stay of execution that the governor, she implemented there after this happened. Charles Warner was supposed to go up 2 hours later and die on the same gurney in the same fashion. And he hears from whoever, maybe they don't tell him. So the governor, as you have 14 days. He's like, oh, why? You mean shit, now you're thinking 14 in 2 weeks and you're laying on the table, what the fuck is going to happen to me?
And he probably mentally prepared himself for it at that point. That's pretty rough. That's psychological and emotional torture, I would imagine.
Absolutely.